Call meeting to order. Janet, would you lead us in the pledge? Are you here?
I'm here.
Julie?
Here.
Rod? Here.
Sharon.
Sharon?
Here.
Thea?
Here.
Josh?
Here.
Janet?
Here.
Okay. Dennis?
Here.
Michelle? And I'm here. Agenda for 2025.
Mayor, I'd like to amend the agenda if I could. I don't know if everybody's got one of these ordinances that the police just put out that they would like to do. Just got it for a meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. But basically what it's doing is adding to our ordinance. Well, we can talk about it when we get to it, but I'd like to amend the agenda to the proposed ordinance amendment for the police department on stray dogs.
Okay, let's put that above number 1 on new business ordinance. Gosh, I had a couple of things now I can't remember. I left my paper at home. No. Any other amendments? Do I have a motion to pass the agenda as amended?
I'll make that motion.
Oh, excuse me. I've got to make a couple of appointments, so above 0 on ordinance with the appointments. Now can I have a motion to accept the agenda?
So moved.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Well, down here's Thea.
Meeting minutes from January 9th, 2025. Do I have a motion to accept?
With the minutes from the previous meetings, I completed the training. I said that if you get the word distributed. In the training, it did mention that the minutes from the previous meeting should be read so that it's make sure that it's accurate before it's accepted.
We never read it, but it's your responsibility to read it before we get to approving it.
But it's part of how meetings for the municipalities are supposed to be ran. So I'm just wondering why that's not done.
Because no towns do it. There's very few towns that do it. It's easier for you to read them before the meeting and know what's in them and know if you have any changes than have them read here. It just makes it a lot easier. If you want them read, we can read them. I'll make you the official minute reader.
Well, I mean, it's the clerk's job. That's part of
Well,
that.
So what do you guys, do you want them read
I agree, it's the responsibility of the council people to read them
before
before the meetings. I mean, you read the minutes of the meetings, it's gonna take another 20 minutes of your meeting, 15, 10 minutes, whatever it is.
But if we're signing off on them, we should actually have looked at them.
You should.
You should have, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I post them, but you guys can come in and get copies before, way before the meeting if you want to.
See, same thing on that as far as the agenda goes. I mean, every councilman, it's their responsibility to get the agenda. And when we put things on the agenda, it's our responsibility to put on there what it's for, because if we don't, then we come to the meeting blind and we have no clue to have studied it or anything else, so. It's up to the council, that's part of our job as elected officials.
Can I say something, Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
about it? Didn't we have an email for the town? Could it be sent to the council members before the meeting? Instead of them having to come in and get them?
I can do that.
Just a suggestion.
yeah.
Yep, yeah, everybody has an email address.
Right.
And if people have trouble accessing their email, they can come and see me.
Okay, I was just wondering about that, because, I mean, I did do the training, and I was just, something they mentioned in there.
Okay, do I have a motion to accept the meetings from January 9th, 2025?
I'll make that motion, so moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Sorry.
Bills. Do I have a motion to pay the bills?
I have a couple questions about these ones, these aren't on the list here. Tyler Technologies.
That is for the police department on their new ticket rider deal.
Okay, okay.
The-
And then the Visa cards for Kidgel and Patrick, or Rod Patrick, they're not on here. And Murdoch Oil is not on here. So my main thing is just like, are these,
It was probably just overlooked. It's,
Yeah, I probably had them off to the side, cause I put all the checks that I write in front of me, and then I'd make the spreadsheet and.
it's just, these are kind of big, so, you know, they got big numbers and, like totals, but then like the payments are small, so it's kind of, it'd be good to know just kind of what we're voting to pay. Like this has a balance of over $300, but the minimum payment is $40, so which one are we paying?
The 300.
Oh.
That we've paid, I've never paid the minimum, I always pay the card off. The Murdoch oil is to have the gas tank for the police department filled.
Okay.
And then Kidgel's credit card is still being used until we get Daryl's card in, and then that one will be canceled. Because that's the only card we have for the police department.
Okay, and then okay. Just wanted to know kind of how those worked, with the, especially with the credit card service.
Mine's not in there because I haven't used it, so it's not.
Yeah. So the one, even the one with the balance of $1,000, that one gets paid.
Yes, yep, it gets paid.
In full.
It will get paid.
Okay. Just wanna make sure I know what we're voting on here.
okay,
I mean,
For comment?
you can look through the
I
chart
see
too.
that Williams Law is booked to the MPD account. Anything for the attorney or the judge?
I did it
Michelle?
that way because when Janet put it on my desk, it says 100% law enforcement.
But he represents the people, and it's a conflict of interest to pay them from a police account. It has to come from our
I
account.
figured it was something different because she put on there 100% law enforcement, so I didn't.
Well, I didn't put that on there. Jerry put that on.
Oh, Jerry put that on there then. So
I don't put
just figured
anything
it
on
was
there.
something. But I can change it
Yeah,
to
all the
put it to
Williams
the
stuff
general.
and all the Michelle Burns stuff have to come from the general account, so it doesn't look like
And I usually do this, so this time I did it because it had
like
that
they've got enough
specific
range
note on there.
there.
So, okay, I will change that.
any more questions?
Rattlesnake is also on the general account, and that needs to be for the water sewer.
I think, was the check deposited in the general account, the reason you,
Okay.
so.
But is it processed on the
Yes.
computer to the enterprise?
No, it's,
Should come from the enterprise account.
Yeah, because even if it was put into the general, we still need to,
Well, then we need to transfer it out of the general into the enterprise and write the check out of enterprise.
Yeah, we
I
can
just
just,
figured it came out of
journal
journal because it's
entry it
a
over.
fire hydrant, so I couldn't figure it.
Yeah.
So
We can do that.
Yeah, my bad, I'll fix it.
Nope.
No problem,
Um,
no problem.
Not at all.
I actually don't know. Sorry, one more thing, the Tyler Technologies, is that coming out of
That's please.
police, the
Police
account?
account,
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you, oh, it says, I was gonna say, if you look, there's a little stamp on there that tells you what the check number is and what account it's coming out of.
Got it. Yes.
And on the bills, usually we try to come in half an hour before the meeting starts and sit down and sign, get our questions figured out.
Well, we weren't
Yes,
sitting
yeah.
here with the bills
Right.
last time, and so it wasn't mentioned, so
Right.
that's how y'all handle it, so. Oh, now we know, so,
You know,
now we know.
okay, do I have a motion to accept the bills?
I make a motion to accept the bills.
Do I have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Treasurer clerk,
Okay, first off, your guys' nameplates are coming. Oh, it's not here yet.
I'm not sure.
You guys fill that out,
I'll just tell people my name is, so you know.
Okay, so in the general account, there's $131,070.80. Police, $85,396.29. Community account, $35,584.54. The court account after this month's, transfer, is $3,415.99. And enterprise is $25,519.
yes?
On the clerk treasurer report, water bills, if you're wondering how comes they're late this month, the printer went down and we've been trying to get them printed and we put calls into because we leased that.
It's fixed now.
But it's fixed.
Yeah, they finally called me back as they would get it fixed, so everybody should, they've been out for 3 days now, so everybody should be getting them any day.
So I just want to make observation.
Court, Janet.
Okay, well, as you can see, things are slow, with payments coming in and citations written. We had court on Tuesday this week. March court will be Friday, March 21st. Right now, we have 2 bench trials scheduled. Looks like both of those are gonna end up being deferrals. I passed the public officer test, so yay. Not the hardest test I've ever taken. We did the e-citation training. Josh will talk a little bit more about that. That was really interesting. We have a performance report due for the COPS grant at the end of this month that Daryl and I will finish together. And then I just keep working with Daryl on items related to the switchover for the chief and police department. So that's that.
Maintenance, water and sewer. I guess I'll field that one. We had the doors on the town shop were in bad shape. I had them repaired. They changed the rollers on them. They put some more supports on them and they got them fixed up. They're working real well now. And we're going to start a maintenance program on all of the doors. And we need to get these 2 doors on the police department serviced and see what's wrong with one, why it's not working. I'm going to set that up if it's okay with everybody for next month and get them fixed. Everything out, they put a 1-foot extension on this hydrant out here. I've been working with an outfit on the sewer out of Montana, and there's some some of the people are out of Sheridan. This summer, they're going to send somebody over for anybody that wants to go through the sewer plant, learn how it operates, and help anybody that wants to take a test. I did buy a snow shovel and some ice remover. They're out here. It's a mess. I got it halfway cleaned up. And I think that's it on the maintenance. Any questions?
Well, like for the meeting tonight, couldn't Howard have plowed the parking lot and stuff, so it's easier for people? Because I look out here in the audience and there's a lot of elderly people.
Yes.
Hard to-
Yeah. If we don't catch it to begin with, it's almost impossible because it turns to hard snow and ice. And when you plow the parking lot out here, you're just moving the gravel out.
Okay. And then,
So we'll have them try to back drag it to leave the gravel there, but try to get the snow down to very little.
and then I want it to be noted here, it says I'm asking about Howard being let go. I just want it to be noted, I don't want him to be let go, so.
Who said Howard's being let go?
Well, on here it
No, on
says
the
Sharon's
minutes.
asking about Howard being let go. I don't
That was the
want Howard to
minutes.
be let go.
That was the minutes, you asking, that's not saying.
Okay.
Okay. Water, Dennis,
Everything's good.
everything's good?
Yep.
How do you like
Valves
it?
on over.
How do you like the new building?
That's great.
It is, it's pretty good,
Yeah, they got it fixed up pretty good.
yeah. Josh,
All right, Chief Newman's caught the bug that's going around, so that's where he is. So hopefully he gets better soon. We had East Citation training, 2 weeks ago now. We've got all of our equipment in. To start with that, they are doing some updates in the back office. Right now, they're working with Wyoming Highway Patrol, us, Grayville Police, Cody Police. Everybody's switching to this new system, so they're trying to get speeding formulas and fines in there correct and stuff like that. So we may be a few more weeks out on using that, but all in all, it went smoothly. It's very user friendly, and it's going to be a great addition to make us more efficient on traffic stops. So we got that going on. Not much else is happening right now in the police department. Just be careful on the icy roads. They're pretty terrible right now. So a lot of slide offs and different things have been happening around the county. So just be careful and be mindful of. Takes a little extra time to stop. So right now. So but spring and summer's coming surely. So that's all we have.
thank you, Josh.
Yes, sir.
Okay, appointments, I've got 2 appointments to make. I'm going to appoint Tim as the mayor pro tem, and I'm going to appoint Dennis and Troy to the Waterboard to serve another couple years.
I have a concern with Tim being mayor pro tem, and the fact that that position is not actually an appointed position.
It's appointed.
As per state legislation and our ordinances, mayor pro tem is actually chosen by the council at the meeting that the mayor cannot be there. And it's not a standing position, it's one that is chosen at the meeting that the mayor is not at. And that's state,
Well,
and that's our ordinances. So it's not something that's not, technically it's not your job, it's
yeah,
the
no,
council's
it,
job.
technically, it is my job, state statutes. It's always been that way. The mayor has always appointed his mayor pro tem, and
Just
we-
because that's what's been done is not how it's supposed to be done.
Well,
It's state
well-
legislation and our ordinances.
Yeah.
I even have the ordinance number if anybody wants to look that up. That it is not a job, it is a position that is voted on by council at the meeting that the mayor is not there.
So what ordinance number is it?
It would be ordinance, 1-5-3F.
1-5 what?
-3F.
Did you say 195?
1-5.
Okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to appoint him as Mayor Pro Tem tonight. I will look into this, and at the next meeting, if I'm wrong, we'll change it. But for now, it's going to stand. And we'll go into it at the next meeting. And then Troy and Dennis will be on the water board.
There is 3 different, just so I can bring this up so the public understands, in the council, there's 3 different sets of ordinances in the state of Wyoming for different types of municipalities. So you've got your administrative type of municipalities, which there's separate ordinance for those. You've got your mayor council ordinances, and then you've got your, like Laramie, to where Laramie, the council appoints their mayor. So, you know, we've had this issue before, and I think that, and you could be very right, Thea, so, I think we need to look into it and make sure that we're looking at the right ordinance instead of looking at an ordinance that might be for a different type of municipality.
Okay, well, I think the one that is actually in the town ordinances is probably the one that's gonna be the most relevant, since that's what, at some point, the town has decided to go with.
Well, and I definitely want to read that. I mean, I'm glad you brought it to our attention. Because we need to be right and not wrong, so. I
But
appreciate that.
until meantime, we're going to do it this way if we have a special meeting or something comes up. And another thing, if you want to appoint him at the meeting, if the mayor's not here, what you gonna do if there's a big water leak out here and I'm not here? Who's gonna take care of it? You've gotta have somebody with authority to call people in and do it. So if we're going to appoint him at every meeting, then we're going to have to figure out something different on emergencies.
I think in that situation, if you are going to be out for an extended period of time, then yes, that would make sense. But if it's just, I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
Alita, how have we done it in the past?
But I never looked at the ordinance to see what it was supposed to be, because it's like you said, you always do it, but that doesn't mean it's right.
Right.
And we didn't appoint family members to the mayor as a pro tem either, though. So,
If they were appointed, but I was elected, so I'm an elected official.
well,
It's
you
not-
are, but the mayor didn't appoint, or what you wanna say, a family member to be pro tem.
I don't know, Dennis appointed Troy for pro tem, didn't he?
No, he didn't.
I just asked, don't,
He didn't, I was.
okay.
So, I mean, doing family's not a good thing either.
Well, we're both elected, so,
I agree, but you have people you can pick from that's not family.
well, then let's go ahead and pick one tonight, and we got water leaks and everything else, and I'm not helping with it. Yeah. You guys take care of it. So let's go ahead and do it tonight.
Okay, I'll make a motion, we appoint Thea. You'll be responsible for water leaks and everything else when I'm not here.
I thought they have to vote on it.
Well,
We
do
will.
vote on it.
They want to check and make sure that that's correct for next meeting. So this is standing for.
No, let's go ahead and do it tonight.
As I said, it's when the meeting comes up that they have no mayor. So if there's a water leak and the mayor is not able to help with it, then there should be a chain of contact that, okay, the mayor can't help, then there's a chain. It's not just one person, it's not on one person, it's the council. It's supposed to be a team effort, really. So if there's a water leak, then the mayor gets called and maintenance should be called. And if the mayor is unavailable, then somebody else.
Kind of like schools have a phone tree
Yes,
when
phone
there's an
tree,
emergency.
phone tree.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
it really shouldn't fall on one person, that's, because it's
Well,
not real fair.
It don't,
On
but
one person.
overall the years, guess who's fallen on? God and I, all these years. Nobody else in the council ever helped do any of it.
So-
Well, I'm willing to make that change so
Alright.
that we can spread the responsibilities
That
amongst
would be
all of us.
nice.
Because that's how it should work.
That's the way it's supposed to work, I agree.
So I'm willing to do that, to be on that, phone tree. If Rod can't and you can't, then, or if Rod can't, they wanna call me, or whatever.
Yeah.
And that way it's not falling on one person who may not feel well, especially right now, it's crap going around. And that way it's a more evenly distribution of power and responsibility, and it's not pressing down all on one person. If they're not available, then now they have to figure out what to do.
That'd be wonderful. I'd love it. I get tired of doing these midnight, 2 o'clock water line things.
So it doesn't just fall on you.
All winter.
Mm.
Yeah.
So being the sewer's backed up at the house over there at the campground, I can call you at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Like it one. So,
Okay, let's move on. Ordinance on the dog. You have that in front of you.
I did, yeah.
is that in here or?
There it is.
No,
I just got it given to me right before the meeting, I didn't know they were putting it in it, so
Okay.
I would've made copies.
I'll read it. Penalty would be amended as follows. A first ordinance for violation of ordinance 41A-2, 41A-3, and there's a whole bunch of 41A-Bs, 5s, and all that, shall be a fine of $50. That's the first offense for dog at large. A second offense shall be a fine of $75. A third offense shall be a fine of $100. Officers shall issue a,
Forfeitable citation.
forfeitable citation for the first 3 offenses. A fourth offense is punishable as set out in section B below, and shall be a must-appear citation. All fines are in addition to any impoundment and veterinarian fees. The current subsection A shall be renumbered as subsection B. The current subsection B shall be renumbered as subsection C. And this come from the police department, right?
No, this came from Jerry. He
Jerry.
emailed it to me
Came from
right
our
before
From
the
Jerry.
thing. But
Daryl asked me to get this done to make it easier on him and the police department and the judge, so somebody doesn't have to go before the judge on every offense. If they do, they can be fined up to $750. We're making it 50, 75, and 100. And then the fourth time it goes before the judge, and it's at her discretion and this is for dog at large or a dog that's a nuisance. If it's a vicious dog, if it goes after a kid, then you go before the judge.
Or an adult.
Yeah.
I
So
like to be called a kid.
this will be the first reading on it. We'll have 2 more readings on it. At the next 2 consecutive meetings, it's gotta be passed 3 times. Just because it's passed tonight doesn't mean it can't be changed.
I just have a question, I don't know if anyone would be able to actually answer it, because the problem with, well, one of the problems with the original ordinance is that enforcement was, how do you do that? Like, how would that be handled?
The enforcement now will be a citation from the police department.
Right, but how would they, like, okay, so let's say a dog is running around, dog at large, how do you know whose dog it is?
Take a picture of it, and if it's recognized,
I was just wondering kind of like how that,
Yeah.
okay, because I think it's great.
That's kind of
and
weird, too,
Josh will
because-
also follow it home and see where it goes.
Well, a lot of
Fair.
the dogs
Did they
are
ever
at
figure
night
out
though
that other
too.
dog?
Yeah. Josh?
Yeah, we're just trying to simplify it. That ordinance was all kind of messed
It's
up
very vague.
when it was written. It left just we felt like way too much discretion for us, so when we wrote a citation, to try to keep it fair, we just wrote it as must appear and let the judge decide the fine. We just feel like if we have just set fines for first, second, third offense, if it goes past that, then it's must appear. That way everybody's just getting treated the same throughout the town. And just trying to clear up the water, you know. But yeah, if there's a dog running around, take a picture of it. We don't get on Facebook and stuff trying to find where dogs are at large. So please come to us and have a picture. We'll try to identify it. We do know where a lot of the dogs are and where, you know, because we've seen them and we know which ones are kind of get out all the time. There are some that run around super late at night that we have no idea whose they are. We don't know if they come from out of town or something. So that is something we're currently working on. But yeah, we're just trying to simplify the whole process to make it easy on everybody, and that way everybody has a clear understanding and nobody's caught by surprise when their dog does get out. We know dogs do get out, and we try to treat everybody fairly. So
Thank you, Josh.
yes, sir.
Any other questions?
All the council needs copies of this, so if we could get copies for everybody else.
Right now?
After the meeting.
Oh, actually, Michelle, why don't you just give it to me? I can make some copies in here.
So do I have a motion to pass the dog ordinance as written for the first reading?
I make a motion to pass the first reading of the new dog ordinance.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Town council on bank accounts. To get you guys on the bank account, we've got to pass something so it's in the minutes, so the bank knows that they can pitch on it. If we don't pass it, then we can't pitch on it.
We also have to pass
The what?
so we can get the- we also-
Oh, and we need, well, let's go start here first. I need a motion to take Judy off the bank accounts. Judy Burry off all bank accounts. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Then I need a motion to put Thea and Sharon on the bank accounts. Do I have a motion?
So motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Building permit, Sherry Showalter. She's not here?
You still have that?
Yeah. She was supposed to be here, so if there was questions, so I guess that'll be tabled until she comes to the meeting.
Can I answer on that, Mr. Mayor?
Yes,
Essentially, the back part of her property, there is an old metal shed back there. She essentially just wants to tear down that old metal shed and rebuild one in its spot.
okay. And what's the use for?
Believe it's for her sheep, but I'm not 100% sure. That's where her sheep currently are housed at right now. It's one that's been there since we've been here 27, 30 years ago.
Yeah,
And it's cold, leaky, and everything else. I think she's just wanting to tear that one down and put one up in the exact same spot.
so is that for just the 3 sheep?
Yes,
She's
sir.
not planning more?
I have no idea on that. I just know what they were talking about with something like that. I know the ordinance says she's only supposed to have 2 or 3, whatever.
She
it
was
is.
only supposed to have 2, she was going to bet you one and give to your
Well,
mom. but
yeah,
That's here nor there.
I stay out of that. That's her business. I just know that she was talking about wanting to tear that one down and rebuild one in the exact same spot, the exact same size.
Well, what we required in the past, Mr. Mayor, is we required drawings of it. And we really need to know from her.
Okay, I was trying to help out along for you
Yeah.
guys, but
The dimensions, dimensions?
It was essentially just a building going back up in the exact same spot where one was standing. It's old and decrepit, needs to come down.
I would really like to, does she plan on doing this tomorrow?
Probably not.
Yeah. probably
It's,
not.
it's pretty cold. I don't know if anyone's planning on doing anything tomorrow, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, I would like to table this till we can get it from the horse's mouth and understand that
Have
it's
a
gotta be
drawing.
inspected and have a drawing. And then what her use is, what she says the use is of it. And it's not that I don't distrust or anything, but we really need when somebody does this.
No, I completely understand. Like I said, the only reason I know what's going on is because she talks to mom and then mom fills me in on stuff.
Right,
I don't know what she's got planned, what she's doing or anything like that, so.
yeah. Kinda like by,
This is what to say. Because like it's just that question.
I didn't finish.
So wouldn't it be, I don't know, curbing would be a good idea, just so we can get some more information, because that doesn't say.
And she brought it in, I told her when the meeting is, and she said she'd be here, so.
She has a hard time with the court, everyone's hard time with it, but anyway, so I should,
Oh, we're tabling it, I thought.
yeah, so, we're good.
Do I have a motion to table the building permit until next meeting?
I make a motion to table the building permit for Sherry Showalter until next meeting.
Do I have a second?
I wanna amend that, on that, to table it till she shows up, to table it until
She appears.
she appears, yes.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. So, you want,
Yeah, I make a motion to table it until such time that Sherry can be here herself to discuss her building permit.
okay, do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thea, looks like you got quite a list.
I do, and I apologize in advance.
Let's start with the town hall.
Alright, so town hall simple, keys for town hall for Sharon and I,
You'll get one here. Did all keys get turned in? We'll get you one here within the next week.
okay, and that was just, I was just wondering about that, and so that's all.
Yeah, and that will just get you in the front door.
Alright, now my policies and procedures, this one I'm just, so a lot of these that I'm gonna be talking about is more, questions on clarifications, kind of what the town's doing, how the town's functioning, and getting that information, since there's not a lot out there to get that information. So with policies and procedures, I'm wondering like where the policy book is, procedure book is, and like how would we access that to see it? Because that's supposed to be done, from what I was reading, from the training.
So what I found in
Updated.
the computer, I did find one in the computer, but it needs some work to kind of make it ours, I guess, in a
Okay.
way. If you wanted to, one day next week, that I'm here, Tuesday, Thursday, if you wanna come in and have me kind of, make it ours, because if you look at, I can show you after the meeting, if you look at it, there's a lot of like places where you need to put like your own information
It's like a
and stuff.
template, really.
Yeah,
Okay.
so.
Yeah, that'd be good, because then we can work on that and then present it at a meeting
Yes.
together, the whole council.
By the way, Howard's the only one that signed it.
It's really not even, yeah, because I looked through everybody's files before I gave them to Sandy, and nobody had a policy or procedure signed in there, so I went and looked on the computer, and there was one saved on the computer, but like I said, there's lots of holes,
Yeah.
for lack of better words, that needs to be filled in, that I just have not got to yet, so.
So, in that same vein though, because with the policies and procedures, the books are supposed to explain jobs and how those jobs work, maintenance, clerk, treasurer, all those fun things, kind of what the town and council expect of those employees. So, my question is, especially with gaps in employment and people, specifically about the clerk job, because, we've been through quite a few. Basically, it'd be more of like me asking Michelle, how does your job work? Me, like, asking you, like, right now, what would you say, what are your responsibilities and what are your duties? as the clerk treasurer. Without that policy book,
And I've read through it, it's, and mostly like the gaps that need done is mostly like our names and like numbers and like that kind of stuff. It is a pretty good, explanation of kind of how the jobs work and stuff. I'll give you a copy tonight, you can read over it. It's hard to explain without it being in front of me.
I will admit that, it's been gonna be done for many councils and it's never gotten done.
I got it printed off and ready to.
and see, having one of those on file would have been really helpful for when you did come in, because then, like, so what are your responsibilities? Like, what, because clerk and treasurer, those are two separate jobs, smushed into one because we're so small and a lot of people,
Honestly, and if I'm being honest, I don't even know what all of my roles are because I kind of just got thrown in, so.
exactly,
I'm still learning day by day, just like you guys are gonna be learning day by day of kind of what goes on and what I'm supposed to do and.
and that's kind of where you out kind of flop around, because you're trying to scramble and you don't really have any direction. Like, what does your average workday look like?
Take water bills, go through the mail, see what's in the mail. Sometimes there's, like bills or, checks. We get checks from like the treasurer and stuff, deposits, doing the spreadsheet for the deposits. I've been working on trying to get everything organized in there.
How would you do
It's mostly, it's like a lot of little stuff kind of all put together. You'd have to come in and sit with me one day. It's hard to explain what I do all day.
No, I get you. See, that's kind of like that. I'm just and I admit that a lot of this is I'm gonna probably talk to you a lot because we don't have very many employees here in the town. But the clerk treasurer is an extremely important job, and if you're not supported, the town does not get better. And of course you're the face, so people come and talk to you, and then you're catching all this flack, and it's a mess. So
Shouldn't this be talked about in the executive session?
No, not necessarily, it's,
I'm not changing your duties, I'm asking about your duties, that's public. And what are the town hall hours? Because I know they changed.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 10 to 1.
Okay. And how do town hall hours get changed? Is that a thing that the council has to approve, or is that just?
Not sure how, I've always just gone around and had it approved.
we try to, when it's hard to find a clerk, we try to make the job fit the person.
Work it out, gotcha.
Small town, it's hard to get somebody from Orland to drive down here for 3 hours a day. So I'm willing to work with anybody to make the job fit.
So the previous council had like a, interview process and then determined what works and then came to that conclusion?
And the hours were just changed because I have another job, the mail, and so I can't get here till 10. And then I have to run the mail in the afternoon, so that's just why they were changed this time. And I did go through Rod and had it approved and everything before it went out.
So, but typically, they would have to go through the full council.
I think the
if it's
first one was when I was hired, when we had the meeting, or the, whatever you call it. Interview, when we talked about that and I was hired, that's kind of where the first hours got, so that was, I guess, technically the council.
okay. Like I said, a lot of this is just me trying to figure out how this works and how it's been working, and then go from there, because some things have not been, according to training, have not been done right. Also, in the ordinances, it does, and this is moving on to something else with procedures, really. With the town meetings, in the ordinances, it says the town meetings are supposed to be every second Monday at 6:30, and I was just wondering if there's a reason that they're on Thursdays, and I also would like to push the idea for people to think about moving it back to Mondays to be in compliance with our ordinances.
they've been changed many times over many councils because one council he coached basketball, so he couldn't make it, so the council would move it. We had another one that had bowling that night, and they couldn't make it because of bowling. I mean, so I don't know which council, and it don't make any difference, approved it for Thursday night, but, you know, it's, I know it says Monday in the ordinance, but if we need to vote on it on which night we want it, to change the ordinance, or we can go back to Mondays and we don't have to change the ordinance.
My big thing is I would really like to try to get like as in compliance with our own ordinances as possible, so that when people get a copy of the ordinances and they have questions, then it's not, well, we're doing it this way, even though the ordinance is this. We don't know when it changed, but this is what we're doing. So that everybody, council and community is all on the same page. And then as we need to make changes, we make them more official.
Oh, I agree.
Kind of tidy things up so that there's more of a cohesion between council and town.
I agree.
The reason it's probably not been changed is as many times as it's been changed for different people, if we start and change the ordinance, we're going to have to do it every time, and it's costly. So every time we do it, it takes a big chunk of change because we've got to have it put in our codified book.
Codification isn't actually a legal requirement for ordinances. It's just the only legal requirement for ordinance change is 3 readings and it has to be published. And that's it. The codification is more where you send it off and a legal team or whatever looks and makes sure you don't have any redundancies or conflicting ordinances, and they kind of put it in order. That's pretty much all that is. I looked it up.
Well,
So ordinance changes aren't
going to argue with
they're
you.
extensive. They take a while, but they're not money expensive. They're time expensive.
Right.
And that's another thing is like if it's in ordinances, it's just simpler for now to go back to, or to go to, and that's just an idea I was pushing to get back to compliance with our own ordinances. We can't expect the town and citizens to be compliant with ordinances when the council is not also. And so that was it for that, for the policies and procedures. And I'm not moving to make any changes, just discussion, food for thought type things here.
And I think it's good to have that discussion. I appreciate you bringing it to the council.
Also, so it's procedures and policies as well. Actually, no, that was it. Oh, no, I had questions about maintenance is a big job, and with a lack of policy and procedures, how does that work? How is the maintenance person, people, we have 3 when historically we've only had 1, so.
We had 1 and 2 part-timers, what we had there.
Okay.
So, just to correct that for the public.
So like water reports, where do those go? Like I know that the water has to have they have to have like a record kept. Like how is that something that the council should be looking at too, just to kind of make sure it's been done? Sewer tanks, actually, I've been told by a couple people past couple weeks that sewers are septic tanks. They've got concerns about those because someone had a problem with theirs and the sludge was so high, it was clearly not done in a long time. And the sludge levels, and based on, I talked to Ken Hall, because he was maintenance man for Manderson for a very long time, and he kind of gave me he's very knowledgeable on this, so it's really interesting to listen to him talk about it. But the filters should be on a 6-month rotation where half the town the filters are checked every 3 months, and then for 3 months, and then the other half is checked the next 3 months, and then the next 3 months is.
We do it a little different. We do it every 6 months for all of them.
Oh, okay.
So same thing as what he's saying. In the sludge in the tank you're talking about, and I know who it was sludge on the top. There was no sludge on the bottom of that tank. What they've done is now I'm not even gonna go into that because it's a public meeting, but the sludge on top of that tank was like honey. And it was white, which means they've been putting grease down there, sink, Crisco or something. But when we sludge judge those tanks, and we sludge judge the tanks every time we change the filters, so that's twice a year. So they get sludge judged, but that tank sludge judged at 3 inches. And our compliance on that is anywhere from 12 to 15 is when we need to call a pump truck, get them in the pump it. So, you know, hearsay is one thing and facts are another thing, so.
Yeah, and, you know, you can't get facts if you don't,
Yeah,
facts,
exactly.
so. And I was, back to the filters, my understanding about the 3-month or the 6-month rotation with 3 here, 3 there, is that way it's not such a big job.
Well, it's not a big job anyway, so, I mean, it's, you know, whatever we wanna set it up at, we can do that, but the 6 months works just fine. I mean, it takes you half a day to go around and pull the filter or check the filters. And then it takes another, well, it's like it took us 3 days to clean them because we had some ones that weren't really kosher. But if you're doing it right, you're doing it every 6 months, and you're doing everybody. I mean, it all works out the same. 6 months, half of them 3, half of them 3. It's still all in a 6-month period, so, you know.
And when they are checked though, like, is the homeowner notified that they've been done? Do they get anything in the mail letting them know that the town has come and checked and they're good, or is that?
We haven't done that and we need to do that. It needs to be done.
Okay, because I feel like that would be really good.
I think it would be
for
great.
To increase the communication.
I think it would be great.
Yes.
I also think that some people in town aren't aware of their responsibility in the whole matter as far as the sewer system goes, because a few weeks back I had somebody messaging me on Facebook because their line was frozen between the house and the tank. And they said, well, who do I contact? There used to be a list on the door. Well, there used to be a list on the door, very good thing, but she also, I had to tell her, you know, that's from the septic tank to the outside line. If it's frozen up between your house and the septic tank, that's part of the homeowner's responsibility, you know. But when you've got issues, call the mayor, he can filter down, he can tell you, I'm sorry, that's not my problem. He can give you layered plumbing, but, you know, it's not all our fault, not all our problem. And I don't think everybody's aware of that.
See, a lot of people think that just because their sewer tank's full, it needs pumped. That's not the case. That's not the way sewer tanks work.
Don't start working until it's full. It's gotta be full.
And I'd also like to add, the number is on the door to call at any time for maintenance.
So anyhow, if you wanna do it every 3 months,
Oh, no, I was just asking about it because that's, you know, working on what had been done versus what is done, kind of see where those two meet and where things are at, you know. Again, fact finding is mainly what this is, kind of get, and not just for me, but, you know, get it out so everybody kind of knows, so it helps them to feel a little more secure in the fact that they're not necessarily, like, not everybody in town is necessarily in the dark, like,
right.
how do the filters work? I don't know. But, you know, now you're like, well, we talked about it, now you know.
They'll find out if they don't pay the bill and we pull their bill.
Well, that too. Find that out real quick. I'm gonna move on to compliance with the state. This is, there was a question or concern about compliance with the DEQ a while back. And I don't remember, I tried looking back in the videos and I couldn't really find anything about where that was talked about or updated about, like compliance with DEQ, with the,
With the state, the F-66 census that's due in September.
yeah.
No,
That wouldn't be the DEQ.
No, she's talking about,
You know, there was something with the river and,
Oh, okay.
and that's all been worked out. I've had meetings with the DEQ. Mike Dallas has had meetings with the DEQ.
so that's good though,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know who asked me about that, but somebody asked me, and so I was like, well, I'm talking a whole bunch of crap at the meeting anyway, so let me add it to my list. And then audit updates, anything on that? Like, I know that there's not anything we can do at all, but
We're going
Just
to
waiting
have
for-
a work session Monday night at 5:30.
okay.
And Sandy will be down. And this will be a council Sandy thing. No questions, the council can ask her questions, but this is just the council. We can't have the audience because it's going to take a little bit, and we're not paying her to come down and she's answering her questions.
Okay.
That's basically
And
what's,
that's here Monday at 5:30.
that's here Monday at 5:30.
Okay, and then moving on to, that was all I had for that one. For police department and the fire department. So fire department, they need, numbers for the fire hydrants, certified numbers stating that all the fire hydrants are as they should and working. Because there was some issues with Basin when, the house over here on 2nd Street was doing its thing. Fire hydrants were losing pressure, and they were concerned that they weren't gonna be able to get it back, and if those lose pressure, they don't have water, they tear up their trucks, we're in trouble. And so they've been really waiting for those numbers. You said you emailed them.
I thought I sent them to him, but I will double check and make sure,
Okay.
We can only give them the amount of water we've got, we can't give them any more.
Well,
What we get, they get.
yeah, and that's, I'm not 100% sure proportionally how that works, but you have the basin specifically. But our fire department needs to know that the fire hydrants are working properly, are going to remain working properly when they need to be used. Otherwise, they can't risk using them, and then we're gonna be in some trouble.
and we have those numbers, I'll send them again.
Okay.
So it's all-
Well, the biggest problem, and I'll just be straight up front with the one on the fire over here, is the first thing that happened is the fire department dumped a tanker truck on the ground. So they were fighting the fire after that switch was not hit purposely, but it was hit and dumped a full tanker of water. So now they're trying to fill the tanker, they've got a couple other trucks hooked to that. So there's no wonder they didn't have the pressure they needed at that point. It wasn't the fire hydrant's fault or the pressure's fault. It was a error on personnel is why we didn't have the pressure that night. Because that fire hydrant tests out to, I think it's 799 gallons per minute at 60 PSI with the static. So there's not a problem with that hydrant.
Okay. Well, as long as those are, as long as they're sent from the town, good to go. It was just something that's been talked about a couple times at fire hall meetings. It's a big concern, not just for the fire hall, but for us too. So I wanted to make sure that was kind of talked about. For the police department, it was mentioned a while back, and apparently it's still in place, where the police are required to use the time card machine. I feel like that's kind of redundant and kind of irrelevant at this point. Their salary, they don't even clock in here. Their hours don't start, even if they weren't salary, their hours don't start when they get in here. So I'm curious as to why that's a requirement, and I personally think that it should not be, because it's not something that's needed.
I personally disagree, and the reason I disagree, Thea, is when you've got a time clock that is computerized, and that's what they use, and it's just like your maintenance people have gotta do it, your, anybody that's employed with the town's gotta clock in and clock out. If you're doing that on a computer, and maybe it's just that I come from the old school, maybe I'm totally wrong on it, but, and help me if I am, but it's real easy to clock in on a computer and not show up and stay clocked in for a certain amount of time. We've already seen that with a current employee that was logged in for 4 days. And, I, as a council member, wanna know that the public's money is being spent properly on the hours that they need to be here. So, not just the police, I'm talking about maintenance, I'm talking about the clerk, I'm talking about everybody. So it just gives us a fast track on the backside of it, is if we as a council wanna check on it and inquire into it, we've got those cards available.
Well, with them being salary, like I understand you're saying when it's an hourly employee and they can, fudge it. But with salary, they're gonna get paid what they're gonna get paid because that's what they are. And I'm just not seeing the connection between this when they've already been clocked in for however long it's taken them to
I
get
wanna
across
know,
home.
what I wanna know is when people work. That's the bottom line, is if I've got a time card record, and they say, well, I was here that day, and they didn't punch in on the time clock that day, well, how do we know he was here?
Or one of our things is in the summertime, we require them to be here 10 hours a day in town. So if they don't punch in, we don't know if they've been here 10 hours a day. It's not that we don't trust them, because we do. We've got one of the best departments there is. But for our records and everything, we're in the summer, we want them here 10 hours. If they're only here 5 hours, then we've got to do something to change that.
May I say something? It might have helped, with a previous officer. There was times he disappeared, and I'm sure he didn't clock out and clock back in, and things, we didn't know where he was at.
That doesn't have anything to do with time
Yes,
clock.
it does. He went to a baseball game or went somewhere one day, he was gone and then come back, and I'm sure he didn't clock in and clock out.
Well,
I
if
mean,
it didn't
it's-
clock out, then it doesn't make a difference, because it still shows that
That's
he's
your
clocked in.
opinion.
It's just for the council to keep a record, and I will still be a yes vote on it if we bring it up for a vote, because I think it's a must for, not for everybody. I mean, it gives us, it's kind of like policies and procedures, compliance and everything else. I
So,
mean,
Michelle, let me ask, what do you do with them for the police department? What do you do with their time cards? Because they're not used for their wages, so you just,
I put
Just
them
in the file.
in their file, so everybody, so if I get it, police department, I don't get, Josh used to give them to me, because he was part-time, but like Daryl, I've never gotten one from Daryl, and I've never gotten one from
Yes.
DJ.
I personally let that slip, and that's my fault, and I will be getting back on them.
But
to-
even like Janet, she clocks in and out every day, but she also does it on the computer. So when I go do her wages, I've got her slip that she clocked in and out here, and then I just make sure that the computer matches, just make sure, that all the days, make sure she's got all the days and all that, and then I approve it on the computer. I don't have to put her hours in because it's already on the computer. I just go in and approve her hours and then do payroll on hers. But it's just a simple look, make sure everything matches, approve her time. And
Okay.
then-
that makes sense. That makes, like, the cross-reference, that makes sense. My concern with the police department, because it is redundant, they clock in well before they even get to town through the app and through dispatch. How do you rectify those two numbers? Because, okay, they've clocked into town, but how do you know that they stayed in town? Just as Ms. Judy was mentioning, they could clock in and leave. I mean, it's not a safeguard, it doesn't even do anything.
It's not a safeguard, but if they get caught doing that, they're automatically fired. I mean, it lets us know if they're not in town when they say they are.
Well, sometimes though, like Daryl goes to meetings, he meets with the sheriff, he meets with, he has a regular meeting with other police chiefs around. Sometimes they have to go to Basin for various things, to the sheriff's office.
That's all fine and dandy,
Trainings, things like that. So
just
there are
write on
times
the
when
time
they're clocked
card
in
where you're
and they're
going.
legitimately, they were clocked in and they're legitimately on the clock, but they're not in town. And I just wanna make sure everybody realizes that there's things that they do that that are part of their job. that
Yeah, they
don't
clock in the
being
morning, clock out at night, so. It don't matter if they've gotta go to basin or whatever, that's part of the cop's business, I understand that. That's, I don't even think that's a question, Janet, it's,
Well, it was.
Well, it sounded like it was.
Well, the mayor even just said that you, especially in summertime, you want them in town for 10 hours, but the time cards don't guarantee that. It's just an extra step that it's
redundant.
It's redundant and it's irrelevant even. It doesn't make a difference to anybody.
Yeah.
It just, you know, and I think it's something that we should in the future talk about, maybe.
You know, it's.
so why is it making a difference to you? I mean,
Because it's important, I feel, that we streamline resources. Michelle happened to look at, or she doesn't even get them actually.
Because they don't fill them out,
Okay, and if
which
she
is
does
my
get them,
fault.
then it's just cluttering up the office. It's not, they're not important. Plus, you have to buy the little time carding thingies.
Few
It's,
cents. Hang on, Josh.
Mr. Mayor, I would just say I do clock in here every morning and clock it out here every evening. And
I
the chief
agree.
has me give me his
I
time
can
card.
verify that, and when I'm here in the
so
mornings, I do.
That's where my
verify
time
it.
card goes.
I really appreciate you clocking in and out, Josh. It's not that we don't trust you.
Yeah.
It's just that we've got it on file and we know.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to clarify that I have been clocking in and out, so, I guess a point of concern, I see what you're saying, that, you know, there's times where, you know, it takes us a little while to get here, maybe we gotta run by the sheriff's office or something, whatever, that's fine, so we don't wanna, my thing is I'd rather stay here 15, 20 minutes extra than drive past Basin and the sheriff's office, come here, clock in, then use the extra fuel to go back to Basin and take care of what I have to. at the
And
courthouse.
we don't expect that, Josh.
Yeah.
It's just, it shows us how many hours we're
Yeah.
putting in town. And if we need to put more in, if we need, you know, depending on how the traffic is, do we need to hire somebody?
Right,
It's just for our record.
No, I get it. yeah.
I feel like if the police department ends up needing more help, they would come to the council with that request. I don't feel like that's something the council has to try to manage. That's
But
what
it's something we've gotta verify. I mean,
So-
it's there, we're
If
going
we
to
can't trust the
verify.
police department to be honest about what they need, then it's a whole thing, it's a trust thing, and I get that there's been a big upheaval with our police department, and trust is very thin and very small. But at the end of the day, we have to trust the police department as best we can, and if we can't trust them to be here when they're supposed to be here, then why do we have one?
we've had a couple summers to where we didn't have people here when they were supposed to be here.
And those are individual issues though.
What's that?
That's individual issues with those people, and it's just, it seems,
It ain't trust, it ain't trust. Punching the time cards like putting your pants on every morning, you don't leave the house till you put them on. You know, you come in here and you come to work, you stick a deal in there, it takes you 1 second. If they've gotta do work in Basin, then just clock in when they get here, then we know they've been here, clock out when they leave.
but with the police department, it's like when they get up in the morning, put their pants on, and then they gotta go put on another pair of pants. They're only wearing pants. They've already clocked in. And the only reason I can fathom that the town would want them to clock in is so they can monitor their hours for, I'm really trying to understand your point of view, but I'm not getting it. It doesn't make sense.
Well, what you do is next meeting, you put it on the agenda, and then we'll take a vote on it, and if the vote wins, then you've got your deal. But I think it's, you know, to me, it's a must.
Okay. And my main thing is, because I will probably do that, it's just, I first wanted to talk about it and kind of try to figure out what the thought process was behind, because I don't know.
Now, what will happen is if we're not getting enough coverage and enough hours, somebody's going to ask me why they weren't here. And I'm going to say, I don't know, we had a councilman that didn't want them to clock in and out, so ask her.
And then I will tell them, you should talk to Daryl, who is the police chief, and that is his department, and he will have that information for you, because that's his job.
Well,
So, I mean, if you want to do that, that's perfectly fine. Please
you,
send
you
it to me and I will
do, you do what you wanna do.
It's our job though, the police department works under the town council.
But they have their own responsibilities.
They have their-
And that would be one of the chief's responsibilities is chiefing his department.
And the mayor's responsibility is taking care of the police department.
Okay, yes, and so we should be talking with the chief gives us the information, and that's what we relay. It's an overstep and an overreach of the council to try to micromanage the police department.
So then we better quit micromanaging the clerk, we better quit having anybody come in and just trust that, hey, the computer's on.
No, because
What's the
with
difference?
council, maintenance and clerk are a direct employee to the town, whereas the police department, you have Daryl, who is the chief, they have a chain of command.
They're direct employees of the town, they answer to me.
That's fact.
The police department is not the same as the clerk in his.
They
office.
are,
They
they're
not.
a part of the town, they're being paid by the town. We started the police department. I am responsible for the police department.
So, okay, well, how does Basin handle their police department then? Or world, like, does the council make them clock in with time cards too?
We're not Basin, we're Manderson. Don't compare a town of 66 people with a town of 500 or how many ever people they
But the
are.
systems are the same.
No, you're comparing two different things. They're not the same. They got more money. They've got money budgeted. We don't have money to budget. We've got to depend on what we do, and we've got to watch.
Aren't our cops on grants? Is that
One-
different
one-
too? Does that make a difference?
One is on a grant. But if you want to eliminate the time clock, then if the fire department or the police department fails because we're not getting enough hours, there you go.
Okay, I'll accept that then. Moving on to the next point was the emergency plan. This one's really quick because I came in and talked to Michelle about it, and you were there also, Mr. Mayor. This is mostly just, we need one. We need one in place, we need to get one set up, especially with water rising up in Worland, that's a concern. Cool.
We got one.
I did email Lorraine Dobbs, and she said that they are actually getting a new one, of this little, the template thing. So basically, because we're part of Bighorn County, the town is blanket covered by the Bighorn County Emergency Operations Plan, but the town itself needs a specific plan for us. And we couldn't find one, so that's something I think we need to really try to get on quick, because of the water doing what water does in the wintertime and getting, scary. We don't want any flooding. If we do have flooding, we want to know what we're supposed to do, whose responsibility is it to help, who does what.
We got all that here, it's all written out, I'll get you a copy of it.
No, I have, if it's the one that was in the office, I have it. But this doesn't say anything.
Where it talks about incident commander, where it talks about liaison officer,
But
public information.
But what happens? Where did he go? Like, there's nothing in here about Manderson.
Used to be.
We're flooding. What do? Who do we contact them? Who contacts them? Where do they go? Where do we evacuate people to? These are things that we have to know for the town, so that if something happens, we're prepared. And that's just, I think that we should, not right now, obviously, because this needs to be talked about, but I wanted to bring it to the forefront that's,
On the prior council, 2 councils ago, when it was brought up, the place people were supposed to evacuate to was the high school, and it was already gone. So,
right.
that
And-
needs some revamping to do.
So the big thing is just getting it updated so that everybody knows what to do, where to go. And then to actually get that distributed to the people in town too, because it doesn't do a whole lot of good when we got it. And that's what I have for that. And the email, Michelle, I don't know if you, the emails that were in that, with that between Gail and, Lorraine. If you guys, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but, Lorraine does give like a list of things that we can do, specific things to add, so it kind of gives a template, and hopefully, Lorraine said hopefully by next month, we'll have an updated, emergency management plan from Bighorn County, so hopefully that'll be updated and we'll be able to use that as a springboard for our specific one. And then, for budget, I have a question about what happened with last year's budget. That's the question, what happened with last year's budget?
I was told that there was never a third reading of it.
Yeah, there was 3, but then that third meeting wasn't a legitimate reading, and then it never got rescheduled, and then the budget was never posted, and as far as I know, Barbara Green never got a copy of it, so it was never actually
Barbara
posted.
Green has gotten it, I've already talked to her months ago when this was brought up last time.
Okay. Well, it was never posted when it was supposed to be in the paper, so
We don't post in the paper. We post here,
She's talking about the budget.
yeah, but we don't post the budget in the paper.
We have to send it to the newspaper.
Yeah, but we don't post it. And Michelle said Barbara already said that she had gotten it.
Because I gave her it to her at the meeting, and then she said she misplaced it, so we got in contact, we were talking, I emailed her another copy, and she had it, and I don't know if it ever got put in the, I think it did, because I think I got billed for it.
Okay, so we do have one. So that would be good for when we do this year's, and I think we should work on, think about starting the budget process earlier than last year, so we're not scrambling, because with the books being as messy as they are, I feel like it's probably gonna be a process to get a budget worked through.
I think when we do the budget, what we need to do is we need to get some professional help on it too.
And we can talk about that with Sandy Monday night.
I think that would be good, especially with the books being so changing, it would be
It's
really,
like-
really helpful to have a.
Don Russell does Basin's, budget for them, then they go through it and approve it. But, we do need some professional help on that.
I think that would be a really good idea. Okay, finally, with the bookkeeping, well, a lot of this was, I was actually gonna ask about, where we were with the, I was gonna ask Michelle where we were with that, with Sandy, but if we're doing the work meeting on Monday, then that's, we're good. Then that takes out that. I do have a question about, the tractor. Michelle sent me the balance sheet, and in the balance sheet, which I understand is not, rectified, but the tractor is listed as $50,000 in the balance sheet. I wanted to bring that up to council and ask why that is that way.
Julie, you said that was a mistake, and that was you.
No, the
correct?
mistake was put in as an expense, and I fixed that. But now it was listed again as a new bill and then paid through a journal entry, so it's actually doubled it instead of paying it off.
Well, then we just need to fix that.
We need to
That's
fix that. but-
Sandy's correct and all of that.
Well, I feel like if it's something that, because it's recent, and if it's something that we can do here, that would be really, that would help in the long run, than just waiting for someone else to.
No, we can do that
Yeah,
here.
I changed it from an expense to an asset, but then that asset, it just had to get paid. But for some reason, it was rebilled and put into a journal entry. So now it shows the cost of being $50,000 instead of 25.
Yeah, that's an easy fix.
Okay. And I bring that up specifically because it's the most recent thing, and if we can make sure we catch some of those, it helps in the long run with keeping the books from continuing to get worse. And, that was it. I was gonna ask mostly about the bookkeeping, how that was going, but since that's happening on Monday, then, that's it. I'm done.
Sharon,
Okay, so, I've had a couple questions about the water bills. If you pay by check, how come it takes like a month for it to still not be processed? Check be sent to the bank for the people?
I'm
So
going
how does
back
that
to
work?
weekly. I was trying out a new thing, getting all the water bills and doing it once a month, so I doesn't have to go to town every week. But I've had lots of complaints, so from now on, I will be going to town once a week and depositing them.
Depositing the checks that.
Yep, it'll be every Thursday.
Okay.
Do you get like mileage or anything for that, to go to town, for town business?
Yes, but I was trying to take, expenses down a little bit. And just do it, like I said, wait till the end of the month where I have everybody's water bills and then just make one big deposit. But I've had lots of complaints here recently, so I will be going back to, every Thursday. It'll be every Thursday.
Do what you gotta do, you know?
Are we still back in Moreland or are we back in the Basin?
I go to whichever way I go to Orland. If I don't have to go to town, I pick Orland. I worked there, I know the people in there better.
But I think it's closer to go to Basin and it saves on your fuel.
I just feel more comfortable at the Orland Bank.
But
If
you
not,
might get
in
it
the
done.
beginning, gave me the choice of where to go.
I leave it up to her wherever she can, whoever will work the best, whether I'm for it.
And then I have some other questions about the water, situation, because looking at the paperwork that I got last month, it's like all that water bill thing that the city is keeping racking up and it's never getting paid. How is that ever gonna work? But, I talked to Michelle a little bit tonight, and she pointed me in the right direction of to start looking at some paperwork first, so I will bring more of my questions about that up next month.
I'm not following what you're talking about, Sharon, I'm sorry.
How somebody can have their water turned off but still get a bill every month, and that just increases.
It just,
And I know that's something I looked with, because I used to live in Guernsey, and they have a shut-off expense and a turn-on expense. But if you're shut off, they don't keep billing you.
It's
And
in
same
our
thing
ordinance.
in Riverton.
And that's what she's saying is she's gonna go through the ordinances and look more into it and then bring it back to us, is what she's saying.
Because we're paying, if you own the property and you're not using it, you still get a fee for $91.50, even though there's no water going through it, and it's in the ordinances.
The reason that was set up that way is when the sewer system was put in the DEQ, and the state of Wyoming wanted to know how it was gonna be paid for. So the DEQ and the state of Wyoming helped work up that plan, Sharon. There's no way with 50 taps in town and a $2 million project, if you own the property and you shut it off, so it's gotta be paid, otherwise we can't pay our, enterprise and our payments on the enterprise, so that was a requirement of the state and the DEQ, so.
well, those are the things that I wanna look into, and I didn't have time to know where to find those resources and stuff, so I wanna be able to look at all that and look at the resources and find, to help answer some of my questions, because I understand that if you have a business, it's a different bill charge as opposed to a residential, and so I wanna look into all of that, and I didn't have time to be able to do that, so I don't wanna sit and drag everybody down now to have everybody else try to answer all my questions that I now have the resources to go to help answer some
For
of my
deposits
questions.
and the standard usage rate above the extra usage. Residential has one set, business has another, and commercial has another. So it's also, what's the difference between business and commercial too?
And see, that's all the things that I wanna check into and stuff, because now with last month having that, it was quite an eye opener of, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And so I wanna be able to see what I can help do about it, or what I can figure out about it, because it's getting nowhere.
Well, the bottom line is if we don't get paid on those taps, we're not gonna make our bills, then we'll be an unincorporated town, because without those deals, there's no way that we can meet the joint powers and the SLIBS payment on the sewer and everything else. I mean, 50 taps is not a lot.
How does that work if they're not paying the bill anyway?
You know, see, that was my,
Well, what they did is they get shut off. And we bill them up to $2,500. then we cut it off. They used to let it go. We had some bills that were 25,000. But
Yeah, there's a couple that are in the 3,000.
I was gonna say, there's more than just 25, yeah.
yeah, so we had done some things with that years ago to, when it reaches 25, you cut it off. You don't bill it anymore. But the bottom line is, you know, we've got somebody that bought a place in town and they wanna get water to it. But there's a debt of $2,500 on that place. Well, it's a homeowner's responsibility or the buyer's responsibility to make sure that there's no liens or anything else on that place before you buy property, or you're not doing your work right. So I would never buy anything unless I found out it was lien free and there was no bills.
Well, and if you don't, let people know about that, then you find out it the hard way and stuff, and so that's not really right either, because it's not the new people's bill that somebody owed forever and ever that
It's,
you never get paid.
a real estate agent should tell you to check and see if there's anything owed on that property, if there's a tax.
I'm just going by, I know all the different things that a business here in town went through when they were buying something, that this didn't get disclosed, this didn't get disclosed, and it just kept adding up as they were going along, and, oh yeah, we found this out now. And then a few days later, oh yeah, we found this out now.
But that wasn't the town's problem.
No, I'm not saying it was the town's problem. I'm just saying that if people don't just, say about it, then you don't know until last minute or until it's too late.
But you as a business owner or a homeowner should be checking into that before you purchase that place. That's all I'm saying is, I check into all that before I buy anything. I don't wanna come down the road and find out
But not too many people, if they've lived at other places and stuff, know that the city continues to charge for water at that spot that's not on, it's been turned off.
But your real estate agent should know that.
We've had a lot of people come in and before they buy, they come over, they wanna know what the water bill is, they wanna know on the property, if there's anything owed on it. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, the Duncans did when they moved in. They were well informed by coming and asking questions beforehand.
I don't think it's our job to run
No,
around.
that's why I'm
and
not gonna bring up a lot of stuff tonight, because I wanna be able to look at some resources and check things out myself before I start asking a whole lot of questions to try and get
That's fair.
And let me give you this, we've got well over 15 households that's not paying water bills.
Oh, I know,
That's $1,500, and right now, the water and the sewer have got to be, they've got to make their own way. We can't give them money to help them out. If they don't make it, the state will come in and the state will tell us to raise our water and our sewer bills so we can meet our payments. And
Well, in December's meeting and stuff, I actually, the next day, drove around this whole entire town. I was surprised at all the empty places. I didn't realize there was that many.
hang on, go ahead.
How much is the sewer level and the water level? I mean, how much is it?
$18,000 some a year,
But how much do we have left? I mean,
about 4 or 5 years.
we have 4 or 5 years left on it. How did we get that? When did that loan come? I mean, when did
2005, 2004, 2006, somewhere between 2004 and 2006.
When it gets paid, it'll be ready to start over.
Well, it's a 25-year system, so,
Is it 25? I was gonna say how long.
yeah, that's
was the
that's
loan?
longevity to it, but, it could last 50, you don't know. But will those bills go down when it's paid off? We can't.
I was just wondering how far we have to pay it off.
See, and legally, we should be putting X amount of dollars back in case we need to replace line. We should have a fund there, a reserve account that we can go ahead and get this stuff done.
Yeah, see, that's one of the things I wanted to check into, but I didn't.
Guess what? We don't have a reserve account. We don't have
guessing-
money to
I'm not
put it.
guessing what anything, I know that now.
We don't have money to put
And
in.
that's something that would definitely be, budget, you know, need that sorted up.
But so anyway, I'd like to just add that for next month, so that way I'll have more time to look into the stuff that I wanna look into.
Okay, moving on. I don't think I've got any comments for now. Public comments. How about executive session
Yes, I would like one.
for,
Personnel and litigations.
okay, it is 8 o'clock. We will adjourn, or we will move to executive session for litigation and personnel.
First of all, I make a motion to go ahead and move to executive session for litigation and personnel at 8:03.
Thank you for correcting me. Do I have a second?
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I need a motion to bring the meeting back to order. It's 8:35. Do I have a motion to bring the meeting back to order?
So moved.
Second?
You take care of that.
All those in favor? Aye. Thea, would you explain what?
Okay, so with executive session, we discussed personnel and litigations.
That's it. Okay, any council comments?
Yes, I had one that I thought of, dog tags. Dog tags are due April 1st, they're $7.50 a piece.
We've gotta get our dogs.
And after April 1st, if they're not paid, they're $10 a piece.
And you have to have proof of the rabies vaccination.
Right. And we're gonna start getting on that too, because we've got a lot of dogs in town and they're not licensed.
So what we had last year for the rabies clinic, if it was their first time getting a rabies shot, it was only for 1 year. But if they had it before, it's good for 3 years.
And is there a rabies clinic?
And I tried to write that down in each person's file as I put it in there.
Did anybody show up last year at the rabies clinic or at the clinic?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of people.
Yeah.
that show up.
Is there, so is there?
Because we had people not just from town, we had people from Basin.
You all had a good idea last year, and I don't know that anything ever happened with it, but, because things were kind of confusing in town, but, what we did last year was he took, during the rabies clinic, he took pictures of all the dogs. And so then, it's easy when you have a dog at large, then you're not trying to figure out whose dog it might be, you have a record of
That's a good idea.
all the dogs. And you could actually ask people when they come in,
15.
Hey, let's bring the meeting order. We can't hear.
you could actually ask people when they come in to get their dog tags, if they could email you a picture of their dog. That'd be the easiest thing, just email a picture of the dogs. Because everybody's got pictures of their dogs on their phone.
Maybe
And if they don't, they really are a bad dog owners.
Do you even have dogs?
Do you really have a dog?
So who done that last year?
I think Daryl took the pictures. Is that right?
No, I mean,
Julie?
who was the veterinarian?
And is there a plan for another one this
We
year?
need to do that the next
Because
meeting.
that would be, okay. That'd be great.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Because it's cheaper than, right?
Any other comments?
There was something that somebody mentioned, they just wanted me to let everybody know, or remind everybody that, the parking lot, even though the parking lot is mostly always empty, there's handicap spots, and then there's regular spots. Please, if you're not handicapped or don't have handicap placards, don't park in the handicap spot.
I'm handicapped, I have a card, so I can park there.
Okay, good. If you don't, then don't park there.
I don't know what's for them already. There's a thing over there on the table, Randy and Carly and Brown are having their 50th wedding anniversary this Saturday here. You can read it on the paper, more details, because I can't remember the time or anything, but, and everybody's invited, so fun.
Okay, if that's it, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Let's
All
go.
those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.